Hello, I'm David with the OCDSB Outdoor Education Centers, and we're here today to continue our investigation of outdoor learning with your kids. Today's topic is birding. You may have heard me mention my favorite birding app for beginners, and that's Merlin from the Cornell Laboratory of Ornithology. If you haven't tried that yet, I suggest get that, and it will help you get started on this. When you're out exploring nearby nature with kids, you want it to be an enjoyable experience. You want it to be fun. Same goes for birding. Now, it's a hobby that can require a lot of patience, and it can take a while to really get into. So please be patient with them, don't force it, and make it fun. So let me share a couple ideas for doing that right now. I like the echo game, so you can listen to a bird sound, make sure that you all hear it, and then try to repeat it back. If you can't get the sounds just right, because we can't even make some of the sounds that birds do, try putting familiar words to it. If we can make a connection between the birds that we see and the sounds that it makes and some familiar words to us, then we're connecting up here, and it will be much more memorable, and your kids will likely want to do it again. You can use the Merlin app that I mentioned earlier to just get on and play around with and listen to bird songs and learn more about the birds that are in your area before you even get started. You don't need any special resources to get out and go birding. Now, you may have a pair of binoculars. If you do, by all means bring them with you. You may have some of these at home. So if you don't have binoculars, you can certainly do like we did, make a spare pair out of those, bring those with you, and they're actually really handy for helping to train kids and focusing their attention on a small area and to get used to holding them and looking at a really limited field of view. Also, be sure that you have some way to record your observations. So it could be a pad with a pencil like this, just slip into your pocket. You could even just use your phone or any other device that you might have with you, record your observations on that. It is important that you have some observations to bring back and work with at home. The three species that I want to talk about today are common throughout Ottawa. No matter where you live, you're likely to encounter these species, and you probably already know them to some extent. You may recognize the way they look, but do you know the sounds that they make? As you listen to these bird songs and look at these birds, try to think of what words you might put to the sounds that they make. Let's start with the black-capped chickadee. Many people are familiar with that chickadee sound, but what about those shorter sounds that the chickadee makes that can be just as indicative of that bird's presence? Our second species is pretty hard to miss in its red robes, and while you might recognize it by sight, have you ever stopped to listen to the sounds it makes? So let's check out the northern cardinal. What sounds or words did you put to the cardinal's song? Our third species today is going to challenge you a bit more, because this bird is often heard before it's seen. And it's one of those little brown birds that just gets lumped into a big category, but it does have some real distinct markings when we look carefully at it. And that bird is the song sparrow. So listen carefully. So that's 3 Ottawa area residents. And if you can start by looking out for them and tuning into their songs, you'll be well on your way to becoming a better birder. You can find everything you might want to know about these birds on allaboutbirds.org, and that's operated by the Cornell Laboratory of Ornithology. It's an amazing site, and it's the place to start. It's also where you can get the Merlin app. It's more than enough to get you started with birding, and if you check back in the future, I think you'll see we'll do a lot more short videos on resident birds here in Ottawa. Thank you very much for joining me today. Take care.